Good evening, everybody. Happy Thursday. Welcome to Make It Alexandria. I'm your host, Alyssa, founder of Alexandria Makers Market. This is my opportunity to show off all the amazing makers that we have right here in Alexandria. And today I am so excited to bring Dani from Gothy Coffee to join us here on our show. Dani, thank you so much for coming and joining us this evening.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
I'm so super excited. Dani and I have connected a little more recently, and I think it's perfectly timed because your brand is all about embracing, the goth, the macabre, and what better time than October. So tell us a little bit about you and about your brand.
Yeah, well, my husband started roasting coffee about 5 years ago. And that's his hobby. He really enjoys coffee roasting and all things coffee. And my background is as a visual artist partly, and my full-time job is working for the government. And I thought, his coffee is great. How do I get this to market in a fun way that engages his hobby and my interests? So the result of that is Gothy. It's high quality micro roasted coffee with the goth aesthetic.
That's definitely a new twist, I will admit. And I'm just curious um, how you were inspired to come up with that angle.
Yeah, I think my whole life personally I've been obsessed with everything occult and macabre and spooky. And so naturally when I was looking for an aesthetic for our coffee roastery, I thought, why not just embrace the gothness. And it's also a niche that we can be in the market when there are so many great micro roasters in Alexandria. This is our look, and this is our sort of vibe that sets us apart, and it's just fun for me to be able to express myself this way and make a beautiful sort of goth product.
I think it's so fun. It's definitely memorable. And I think it just really kind of the whole thing works. Is your husband, does he share that aesthetic with you?
No, not at all. He's the technical person. He is really obsessed with quality and flavor. So he's very much the back of the house production, whereas I get to let my creative side come out with the public facing marketing and design. But he is as straight laced as you can get, I
Well,
think.
opposites always attract. So I'm picturing kind of a button up, maybe some glasses and just,
You got
khakis.
it.
That's awesome. Um, well, I also love that, even though the coffee side of it was really his undertaking, that, do you see what I did there? I just made a pun. Anyway, sorry.
It's a new brand name
Um,
for us.
I know, I was really, yeah. That he really kind of allowed you to take on what the branding was really going to be, and that it almost feels like he was really turning that over and entrusting you with the product, as all good husbands
Oh
hopefully
yes.
would in a similar
Mhm.
situation. Um, Tell us then. So he's been roasting for 5 years. Has Gothy been around for that long?
No, we're very new, even though the roasting is sort of a longer time venture. Gothy launched just this year, and since in the summer we started doing some farmers markets and some pop up markets. So this is really our premiere season, and it's been great so far. We've had a lot of support and customers.
Well, I can definitely imagine. I mean, we're so blessed to live here in Alexandria. I feel like everybody is always rooting for the hometown hero. But this is probably the perfect time for you to really be at the markets and things like that. I'm sure you're a huge hit, simply for the aesthetic. But I'm positive that the coffee behind it kind of continues to bring the customers back. Is Am I off base with that?
Yeah, I think that's exactly what we wanted to do. Is we wanted to have the quality there so people would want to come back to us, but also offer a really eye-catching, beautiful product um, that gets people's attention. So we do uh, these wet stamps with string and dried flowers, and the idea is sort of to make it a giftable product. This is We're getting into Thanksgiving season and the holidays, and people need to be able to bring hostess gifts to whoever's dinner party they're going to, and I wanted that to be our product, to be really be really beautiful and something that you can enjoy looking at and enjoy drinking.
It is so beautiful, and first of all, and your photography is really well done as well. So I'm enjoying all of that. Talk to me. I realize that your husband takes care of more of the roasting, but I don't actually know what it takes to roast coffee. I am very happy to go to the store and buy whatever's ready for me to consume. But what's kind of the behind the scenes look that's happening?
Yeah, roasting coffee actually doesn't take a long time, but it's very intense. You have to know what you're looking for in terms of even just hearing when the coffee is ready
Mm.
to be released from one stage to the next. And you're dealing with a lot of temperatures, time, temperature, and variety. So to me, as someone who doesn't do the roasting, it seems very stressful because a lot could go wrong very quickly. But I think the sort of technical prowess that it requires is really appealing to people like my husband. So it's very quick. It takes about 20 minutes to prepare a
Oh wow.
roast on his machine, and it, it's fairly doable in a short time frame. A lot of people roast for themselves using little machines like ours. They do about 2 pounds at a time or so. So yeah, it does. And if you're interested in roasting your own coffee, you have to be prepared that it is a very smoky process because you're burning off part of the bean when you roast it. So people think, oh, it must smell so great when you're roasting coffee, and no, it smells like you're burning corn husks or something like that. It's a bit smoky.
Okay, I appreciate the heads up because as I think you started that sentence and I thought, oh yeah, maybe I should start. I love coffee, and you that was the correct way to end that so that I don't invest in any of this. I'm very happy to support you and other micro roasters, but no, that sounds like work that I'm glad other people are doing for me.
Yeah, yeah.
So it not super time consuming, but I'm so continuing to be curious about what are some of the other steps. I know I'm picturing roasting. I can understand that. Is there anything else that has to go into it to get it into the bag before we can consume it?
You know, the great thing about coffee roasting is it's fairly straightforward. You start with the green coffee that you buy from a wholesaler. We have our local wholesalers, we have online wholesalers that we work with. And you go through the roasting process, you bag it, and you're basically ready for market. With our with Because the bags that we use are sort of artistic creations in themselves, it's a little more effort for the packaging in our case, but otherwise it's fairly straightforward, and I think that's what makes roasting so appealing to a lot of local vendors here. It's a pretty clean and straightforward process.
Talk to me about some of the different blends that you guys have come up with. And is that been over the years or is that relatively new since Gothy started?
Yeah, we've experimented with lots and lots of varieties, origins, blends over the years, and so we have three right now that we have settled on for this season. There's a breakfast blend that's got a more robust flavor that people like to experience in the morning with their breakfast. It's called Bat Vibes. We have our lighter roast, which is called Coffeine, which is sort of a play on coffin and caffeine. So it will wake you up from the grave. And then we have our dark roast, which is called Black Habit, and the logo for that on our website obviously is a nun wearing the black habit. So we have these the blend, the light and the dark, and just always have a lot of fun coming up with puns and plays on words for those.
I think that's so spot on. Again, the branding has really riveted me. I'm pulled in and hooked. It's so great. What are if you had to choose, what is your favorite blend of those three?
I you know, and this is hard to say because I do like the dark goth aesthetic, but I do like my coffee as light as you can get it. So I love the light roast. Right now we're doing an El Salvador that is we buy it from a local wholesaler called Tal. That people might have seen at other farmers markets. They do a lot of business locally, and it's a great light roast, very high quality. So that is my pick. I think my husband, who's the coffee expert, is more into the dark roast right now. Our Brazil, which is the black habit, he loves that. He loves the dark roast. I'm not so much into it. I like the acidity. But yeah, so we have a nice mix there because of our personal preferences.
I know your husband was the one that really initially wanted to start with the roasting, but were you always interested in coffee as well, or has that something that's developed over the years?
I like coffee a lot. Uh, I love it. But I definitely think that he is more the technical coffee person, and I'm just sort of the enthusiastic coffee drinker. We both like our coffee black. We want the whole unmitigated coffee experience. So but at our booths, we do offer a lot of great, fixings for your coffee, I'll say. But
Oh,
we both really do like just coffee itself. So yeah, but he's definitely more into the technical end, and I'm definitely more into the aesthetic part of the experience.
I was just curious because the way that you were describing it with the acidity and some of the other just way that you were explaining this to me seems very technical, seems very knowledgeable, and I just was curious if that was something that you were had just kind of grown into with as part of owning a business. You just need to know all the different parts, or if that was just something that you were interested in. So that was just my curiousness,
Yeah, I definitely
curiosity.
I try to know the jargon. I don't want to embarrass my husband too much when I'm representing his work to the world. So yeah, it's definitely you get into industry lingo.
That's so fun. Well, so then talk to me about what are some of the goals for you guys for this upcoming year? You guys are still kind of in your infancy. That's a hard place to be, certainly during a crazy pandemic, but it's also a really exciting time because you truly there's so much potential and you get to choose which way you go.
Yeah, yeah, and since we both work full time jobs outside of Gothy, we are happy to keep it a micro roastery right now and continue to do pop up events like we've been doing. On October 23rd, we're going to be at Lost Boys Cider doing a pop up. And we're hoping next year we can get a more permanent farmers market site. Those sites, even in COVID times, are pretty competitive. So that's what we're looking to do is get a more permanent spot and continue to build our customer base slowly. And we also have our online store, and we've been fulfilling orders there as well. And I think we have a pretty good pace right now of roasting and selling that's sustainable for us.
Oh, that's amazing. So you guys have done a few of these markets. Is that something that you had prior experience with, because that is not always, not everybody wants to jump right into markets.
Yeah, well, my parents are probably watching. Hi, mom and dad. And I sort of cut my teeth working for my dad's roasted corn stand in New Mexico when I was younger. High school, middle school, and definitely got a taste for it there, and had a great time. I'm sure I was, accidentally losing my dad money all the time, giving people the wrong change and stuff like that. But it was a lot of fun, and I wanted to do something like that again. I enjoy meeting people and talking to people, and so it's great. I have the experience, and I know that it can be a fun thing as long as we're having fun. That's the goal.
Well, I love to hear that, and definitely hi, mom and dad. I'm so glad to hear that that was something that you had such a positive experience with earlier, and that it kind of was influential in where you are at this point, and how Gothy has started to get its role. What do your parents think about that, from that, making that connection from the corn to Gothy?
I think they like it. We definitely are sort of a family of small businesses, and my mom did help me to sew this lovely market dress. Uh,
Oh my
so
gosh.
uh, it's always a family project with us.
I love it. I love it. Are your folks still in New Mexico, or are they on this side of the world now?
Yeah, still in New Mexico, and it's great to go visit and enjoy some dry air every now and then.
Oh, I can imagine that. But, um, well, we're getting into fall now, everybody, and I'm really excited about that. Temperatures are dropping a little bit, but so this is something then that probably is going to be a full circle kind of event for you. Taking that experience that you had, incorporating your husband's vision. I am just really kind of getting a picture that um, of how this is coming to be, and it's a really really beautiful thing that you're pulling all these different aspects of life and really packaging it quite beautifully into one product. It's kind of exciting. Do you think that you guys would work on other blends in the future, or what's potentially for how to grow, not in terms of how we see you as a customer, but in terms of what products might be offered?
Yeah, I think, we love customer feedback. We really want to be uh, responsive to customer interests. And so, as we get feedback from customers who want to see lighter or darker or, different origins of coffee, we definitely would love to continue experimenting and working on our products over time. So, yeah, we are just small enough that we can respond to customer interests and continue evolving. And so, yeah, I think what will make this exciting and what will keep our interest in the business is to keep offering new products and trying new things, and hopefully pleasing our customers.
Give me a little bit of your opinion on what the coffee culture looks like right here in Alexandria, or maybe a little bit wider, the DMV kind of
Yeah,
bubble.
yeah. My husband would compare it to, I think, to the craft brewery industry.
Oh,
He's
interesting.
Yeah, I think that, as craft brewing has had its moment, micro roasters are also having their moment, because there is a market for flavor and variety and quality. Whereas, 20 years ago, you went to the store and you bought something called coffee that was an undifferentiated commodity. And nowadays, you can find lots of high quality, interesting products. And especially in this area, Alexandria has a lot of great roasters, and the DMV area has some big names like Qualia and Commonwealth, bigger names like that have sort of opened the market for people seeking higher quality roasts in the area. Um, and, I think that it never seems like there's a shortage of demand for good coffee in the DMV, especially since people are get up at 5:30. You can see people, jogging at early in the morning. People need their coffee here. We're early risers, and so it's a great place to have a coffee business. And Starbucks sort of fulfills one niche. I love Starbucks. They have their specialty crazy drinks that are delicious and sugary. And then you also have the hot coffees and sort of the pure brewed coffees like we produce. So I never feel like there's too much competition. There's always space for good coffee here in Alexandria. So it's a great place to have a business like this.
I think you made two really, really excellent points. Is first of all that there's always space, even though maybe in 6 months there's another micro roaster that pops up. You're gonna have different flavors, different blends, and certainly just different vibes altogether. So I love that. And then my second that you said was how you compared it to kind of that um, the craft brew culture that is also pretty prevalent around this area. So that is makes it really easy to grasp. That makes so much sense. I love that. Um, what are some of the things that we should be looking for as coffee drinkers? I'm an avid coffee drinker every morning. I'm also a teacher, so my students know when I have not had a cup of coffee first thing in the morning. But if you could give coffee drinkers some tips or some tricks or any kind of expert advice, what are some of the things that you wish coffee drinkers knew?
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's so many ways to prepare coffee, and I think it's always a journey to find the one that you like best. And I think that if my husband were here, he would say, keep the temperature the same. If you're doing like a sort of manual brew where you can control the temperature, keep the temperature the same, keep all the variables the same, but change one thing at a time. So it might be the fineness of the grind if you have a grinder at home. But keep experimenting a little bit at a time until you find your preferred way of consuming. And one of my favorite devices to use is the AeroPress. It's sort of
Mm.
a foolproof coffee brewing method that you can. It's so portable. You can take it to the office. You can take it camping. You can use it at home, and it's just sort of a little plunger that you put your coffee and your water in, and you squeeze it out, and it makes a perfect cup of coffee all the time. But I think that experimentation, if you have a coffee grinder, that makes things easier. If you have a kettle with a temperature on it, that's better too, just to be able to have a little bit more control over your brew.
Well, I love that. I actually have some of those things here at the house. I also let my husband take care of those kind of. He makes the coffee. That's perfect. So I just enjoy it. Really is what it comes down to.
That's the best
Um,
way. Have someone else make it for you. That's the
I
best
think
way to
it
have
might be.
coffee.
Yeah, I think it might. There is a question from our audience: is the Aeropress any different from a French press?
Yeah, it is. We also love French press because that's also easy. French press, you usually have a larger carafe, a glass carafe, and you press it down so the water sort of strains above the filter. With the AeroPress, you're actually putting the uh, little device on top of a mug, and then you're pressing the water into the mug. And my favorite part is that you can just, when you're done pressing, you can just unscrew the cap and just sort of shoot out the coffee grounds into the trash can. So there's like no cleanup. You don't have to clean anything. So it's a great device. I love it.
That's awesome. I have a French press, and I think I did mistake those, so I'm glad Lucille asked that question. And so now I feel like you're right. The easy cleanup. I need to go investigate this a little bit more.
They even have World Aeropress Championships. I think just recently there was the World Championship, and it's highly competitive just for this little simple device. People love it all around the world.
That's amazing. I see. I am learning more than I realized about coffee, and it's so interesting to me because I do consume it every single day, and it's something that kind of becomes routine. You don't think about much
Mm-hmm.
anymore, but um, it is one of these moments of kind of self indulgence and self care, and so it feels
Yeah.
like a it's a moment where I should pause and be more mindful about how I prepare my and really enjoy this cup of coffee.
Yeah, that's the great thing about coffee is that you don't have to think about it at all, and it's pretty good. And then if you really wanted to think about it a lot every day, you definitely can do that too. It's just it's amazing.
I have really enjoyed this so much. I really would love people to connect with you further. What are some of the ways that they should do that?
So we have an Instagram that's at Gothy Coffee, and we also have a Square commerce site, which is gothy.square.site. So you can find us there and keep up with our upcoming market events. You can even place an order online with us. And I think our Facebook page is also linked in the event info for this live stream. So we're on the all the usual social medias, and yeah, we hope to connect with you in the future.
You guys, I'm just seeing the comments. Lucille, I believe, has linked. I'm going to go ahead and guess it was an AeroPress link from Amazon. So this is what I think you need to do. I think you need to go get yourself an AeroPress and then go directly to gothy.square.site and order some Gothy coffee. And then in a few days' time, you're going to have the perfect package to really enjoy an amazing cup of coffee. So this is my recommendation for everybody. I also know that you mentioned your event at Lost Boy, this Halloween market that our friend Amy is putting together under Misfit Makers. And so I would like to put a plug in for them because I'm really excited to see this event and future events for Misfit Makers. And so just a small little plug for them. But you and I are actually connecting in real life, and I'm so excited about that. In November at Port City, and so I will plug my own little event. Guys, on November 27th, it's a Saturday from 12 to 5. You can find all Alexandria base makers. We have 30 makers. We're taking over their entire parking lot. So bigger and better than ever. We are having food trucks, and I'm just so um, excited to continue this partnership with Port City and bring you a really fun event, right? Perfectly timed for the holidays. So, um, yeah, Dani, thank you so much for joining me this evening. It's been a really fun conversation, and I've learned a lot. And I feel like I'm going to go wake up tomorrow and have a mindful moment over my cup of coffee. So thank you
Great.
for joining me.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This has been great.
Oh, good. Yes. You guys, we have more amazing programming right here on ZTV next week. Please come back right around 7 o'clock. Every day we have something different. We'll start off the week on Monday with Steve Hauk. We also have Reading, Writing, and Ralph, and then more amazing programming. So you can join us back here at 7 starting on Monday. Until then, I will wish you a happy Friday. Hope you have an amazing weekend. As you go through your weekend, please think about shopping small and supporting local and go be the good news in someone's life.